Hey Land O'Lakes, it's Rochelle Aune, your Land O'Lakes physical therapist, and I want to take just a few minutes of your time today to share with you some thoughts I had about our feet. I was out running this morning and noticed several people are out and about with these stay-at-home orders, and not everyone's wearing the best shoes to support their feet when they are outside doing these activities. And although it's super important for everyone to get out, and it's good for your mental well-being, it's good for your aches and pains, we want to take care of your feet and make sure you're wearing proper footwear. Unfortunately, we can't go into a store right now and try on shoes, and I typically would recommend that somebody go into a shoe store like Run and Fun, the Running Room, Schuler Shoes, any of those shoe stores, and actually try on a shoe and walk around in it and get an idea of how the shoe feels. And what I want to share with you today is just a way that you at home can actually take a footprint of your foot or your arch so that you can help make a determination on what type of shoe might fit your foot, just in case you can't get into a store to try on a shoe. So when we talk about feet, it's really important, especially as we age, to make sure that we are taking care of our feet and buying the right shoes, especially if we're doing activities such as running, walking, or any kind of high impact activities. I know many of us won't be doing several of those activities this summer. However, if you are out just doing walking, you want to make sure you have a great shoe on your foot. And it's an investment, but it will, in the long run, you will get good return on your investment. So I want to share with you today a little bit about looking at your own arch. So when we look at the arch of your foot, and this isn't the best drawing, but if you've got a high arch, right in through here, it'll seem like it's a little bit elevated, like someone could almost put a hand or a couple fingers under that foot or that arch. It's dependent on age. Sometimes you'll see in a younger athlete they'll have really high caved arches, but even as you age you might still maintain that really high arch, and that can just be from over time, your biomechanics in your body and how you are put together. And so you want to make sure if you have a relatively high arch, which is not very common, but it does happen, that you want to have a proper fitting shoe that helps absorb or support that arch. Now, in a normal arch, you should just have just a little bit of a rise in that arch. So it should look like you've got some support under there. But again, you want to wear a shoe that helps kind of take up that space so that you can actually roll through your heel arch and your big toe when you're out walking or running. And then the last one, which is a little bit more common, is kind of what we call pes planus, or flat feet. It's really essentially no arch right there. So I just erased that arch because you really have nothing there to support your feet. And if that's the case, then you really need to have a good supportive shoe, because if you have a tendency to have really flat feet, you're going to have a tendency to what we call overpronate when you're walking or running, and then thereby at risk for injury or other types of issues with the foot and the ankle. So a lot of people will say to me, well, how do I know if I have that kind of arch without having somebody just looking at my feet? So what I tell people is it's really simple, but what you can do at home is you can actually take, like if you get out of the shower and you have a wet footprint, you can actually take a footprint of, so there's a bucket of water and a brown paper sack. So let's just say you're stepping out of your shower, or you can use a bucket of water, and you're going to step on a brown paper sack, and then you're just going to have a wet footprint there. And then what you're going to do is just look at that footprint, and does it look like it's really elevated and high? You know, like you can't see much, like the middle part of your foot is missing, that's a high arch, or does it look pretty normal, like you've got some arch in there? You should have a little bit of an arch, so there should be some little space in there. Or does it look completely flat, like you can see pretty much your entire footprint is on that brown piece of paper? So that's called a wet footprint. And so at home you can actually assess that getting out of the shower, or like I demonstrated here with a bucket of water and a brown paper sack, and that will just give you a little bit of an idea of what kind of arch you have and what you're working with. The other things I tell people is when you are talking with somebody about a shoe, and let's say you have to call the shoe store and you say, oh, I did this footprint test and I really think I have a medium to low arch, or a medium to high arch, or a high arch, or I definitely have a flat foot. Then you have some pointers that you can look at your shoes. And you could always go to the shoe store, you could pick up a few pairs, bring them back home, try them on, and then you can do a couple of tests I like to show people. So the one thing that we like to look at is the heel counter. And so in the heel counter, what we want to look at is that we don't want that heel counter to actually fold in. We want it to be nice, and we want it to be firm. Okay, so we want that to be nice and rigid to give this backbone, this calcaneus, some stability. Okay, the other thing we want to look at is a nice bend in that toe box. It shouldn't be overly rigid, but it should just give us a nice bend so that when we strike with the heel and then we roll through that foot and then we hit that big toe and push off, those are all the normal motions of that foot when you're walking or running. The other thing we want to look at is that there's no outside heel give. So we don't want anything that's going to collapse as we push down through that heel. Okay, so it shouldn't feel like it's all soft and squishy and that we can kind of fold up that arch. The other thing we want to look at, it's a little bit hard to show here, but we want to make like a perpendicular T on that heel, and we want the heel height to be symmetrical. So some shoes you'll see where this angle is maybe built up on one side or the other, and that's not symmetrical. And for some people that can actually make the heel or the foot either over supinate or over pronate, depending on where that buildup is. So we want it to just be straight across and giving that calcaneus or that heel really nice support. What I tell people too is a good example of a poorly made shoe, in my opinion, is a shoe where if you can just do this, probably not a great shoe. If you notice this heel counter, it folds in nice, right? So this heel counter folds in. The toe box actually bends all the way back. So not an ideal shoe. And of course, you're going to see that heel giving away on the outside, and then you're not going to have that nice perpendicular heel balance. You'll have, it's fairly neutral, fairly balanced out, but you'll see a little bit of a ridge here on this shoe. So that's not level as well. So in my opinion, sorry, it's not a great shoe to walk in or run in, especially if you have a history of repeated ankle injuries, sprains, plantar fasciitis, any of those things. Not a great shoe. In my opinion, another great shoe, this is a Brooks, but again, you would look at that heel counter and does it cave or does it hold? Okay, so all those tricks are things that if you went to the shoe store and you couldn't actually go in the shoe store, you could bring the shoe home and do all of these tricks just to see. And then what you want to do is you want to put that shoe on your foot and you want to walk around your house and just get a feel for, does it really meet my arch? Does it give me that good support? Does it feel comfortable right away, or does it feel like I need to break in your shoe? You should never feel like you have to break in your shoe. It should feel comfortable right away when you put the shoe on your foot and walk around. This also applies to everyday shoes. So if you're not coming into the office, you should be wearing a good shoe. And I say, hey, wear a good shoe around your house. You might notice that your back pain, your knee pain, your hip pain, everything starts to feel better because you're always wearing a really good shoe, even around your house. So give it a try. What I tell people is, if you have questions and you're like, I don't know, there's so many shoes out there, I have no idea, Rochelle, you can always call the clinic, 651-375-2273, and you can let us know if you would like to ask me any further questions about getting a shoe. And I do have a shoe list that I work from. It's out of the Postural Restoration Clinic out of Lincoln, Nebraska, so I can't take credit for it, but I do use a shoe list that lists some shoes that kind of categorizes, hey, if I've got this kind of arch, this is probably a really good shoe for me. But usually the people who work at those stores that I mentioned are really good at what they do. They will take the time to help you figure out what kind of arch you have, what feels the most comfortable. And as far as orthotics go, you don't necessarily need orthotics if you have a really good shoe. So if you're investing in a good shoe, you should not be sold on a pair of inserts in the store. You should really wait and either be assessed by a physical therapist or a podiatrist to determine if maybe a shoe insert would also additionally help you when in your shoe when you're up and moving around. So some of my favorite folks, which I have some coupons for, Run and Fun. So they have 2 locations, and if you're looking for a coupon, you can receive a $25 gift certificate with a $100 purchase. You can let us know at the clinic, and I can try to mail one of these out to you if you're looking for a new pair of shoes. Hopefully that was helpful for you. I want to keep encouraging you to get out and move your body. This is a great time to really focus on taking care of yourself and your family. So stay healthy, stay well, and I hope to see you all back very soon. Thank you.